As we get older, relationships can start to feel different. What once felt like an effortless connection may begin to slowly fade. It's an experience many of us face but seldom talk about, the growing emotional distance in long-term relationships as the years pass. If you've ever felt like you and your partner have drifted apart, or that the spark of your earlier years has dimmed, you're not alone. It's a reality many senior couples grapple with, often without realizing how it even happened. The love is still there, but somehow, it feels like you're no longer as close as you once were. This isn't a sign that the relationship is over. It's simply a natural part of the aging process, and something that can be addressed with intention and effort. Aging brings with it unique challenges. Physical health declines, daily routines change, and even the mental and emotional dynamics of your relationship may shift. But emotional distance isn't an inevitable part of aging. It's something we can actively work to prevent. It's easy to assume that the love we shared for decades will always be enough to keep us close, but emotional connection requires consistent nurturing, even after many years together. At first, emotional distance might seem subtle. You may notice that you no longer talk as much, or that you're both retreating into your own worlds. It's the small things that slip away, those quiet, intimate moments shared over a cup of coffee, or the spark in your conversations that once seemed endless. What once felt automatic now feels like a challenge. And over time, these gaps begin to widen, creating emotional distance that makes it harder to feel connected to your partner. But why does emotional distance often creep in? And how do you prevent it from eroding the bond you've built with your partner? These are the questions we'll explore in this video. As we go deeper, we'll uncover the underlying reasons emotional distance develops in relationships, and more importantly, how you can take steps to maintain and even strengthen your emotional connection as you age. So if you're ready to reconnect and rediscover the closeness you deserve, stay with me, because the answers you're looking for are just ahead. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. We're building a wonderful community here, and it's always nice to get to know one another. Where are you watching from today? Feel free to leave a comment below and share where you're joining us from. It's a great way for us to familiarize ourselves with each other. And if you're new here at Elderly Timeless Insights, we're so happy to have you with us. If you'd like to keep receiving more helpful tips and inspiring advice, simply hit the subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications. It's quick, easy, and ensures you won't miss any of the wisdom we share. Emotional distance is often a slow and subtle drift that happens over time, almost imperceptibly. At first, you may not even notice it. It's like a quiet shift in the relationship, one that seems almost harmless, but over time builds into something larger, something harder to ignore. Take, for instance, the story of Laura and Tom. Laura and Tom had been married for over 40 years. Their love had always felt like a constant in their lives, something they could rely on, no matter the ups and downs they faced. In the earlier years of their marriage, they were inseparable, sharing everything from morning coffees to late-night walks. But over time, things started to change. At first, it was just little things, longer silences after dinner, fewer, just because hugs and a growing distance in their conversations. Tom began to notice that Laura wasn't as engaged when they talked, and Laura realized that Tom seemed more distant too. They still loved each other, but the connection they once had seemed harder to reach. Their bond, which once felt so natural, now felt like it required effort. They had unknowingly allowed emotional distance to creep in. Emotional distance isn't always about arguments or conflict. In fact, many couples who experience emotional distance are not actively fighting. Instead, it's a gradual shift. The small moments of connection begin to fade away, those intimate exchanges where you truly see each other, understand each other, and share your deepest feelings. Instead, you end up talking about logistics, dinner plans, errands, or the day-to-day tasks that seem to take precedence over everything else. The impact of this emotional distance can be profound. When we start feeling disconnected from our partner, it's easy to feel alone, even when they're sitting right next to us. That sense of isolation, the feeling of not being truly seen or heard, starts to affect every aspect of your relationship. It leads to feelings of frustration, sadness, and sometimes even resentment. You may start to wonder, is this all there is? Is this what our relationship has come to? This isn't just an issue in romantic relationships. It can happen in any long-term partnership. As we grow older, we may also face physical changes, health challenges, or retirement, which can add to the strain. The routines you once shared may begin to feel stale, and the moments that used to feel meaningful may no longer seem as fulfilling. Now, this doesn't mean that emotional distance is inevitable. Far from it. But it is important to recognize that emotional connection, like any relationship component, requires regular attention and effort. It's easy to assume that love will simply continue to flourish naturally, but emotional closeness must be actively nurtured. Here's the good news. Recognizing the signs of emotional distance early on is the first step to preventing it from growing. You and your partner don't need to let that distance become a permanent fixture in your relationship. The first step is awareness, and once you understand the impact of emotional distance, you can begin to make conscious decisions to bridge the gap. But what if emotional distance isn't just about timing or routine changes? What if there are deeper, more profound causes beneath the surface that make this issue harder to address? In the next part, we'll uncover the surprising reasons emotional distance creeps into long-term relationships and what you can do to stop it before it takes hold. You won't want to miss the hidden factors that influence how we connect as we age. Emotional distance in relationships, especially as we age, is rarely the result of a single event. Instead, it's a gradual buildup of factors that go unnoticed until they reach a tipping point. The causes of emotional distance are complex, often intertwined, and not always immediately apparent. Understanding these underlying factors is key to preventing the drift and strengthening the emotional bond with your partner. One of the most significant factors is the changing dynamics of a relationship. Over the years, as routines become more predictable and responsibilities shift, couples may find themselves growing more comfortable, too comfortable. This comfort can create a sense of stagnation. What once seemed exciting now feels ordinary, and the fire that once brought you close slowly fades into a quiet routine. Without fresh experiences to bond over, couples may start to feel like roommates more than partners. Consider the experience of Bill and Margaret. They had been married for nearly 45 years. In their early days, they thrived on adventure, weekend trips, spontaneous dates, and long discussions about everything under the sun. But as the years passed, their life became more routine. Bill retired from his job, and Margaret, though still active, no longer felt the need to go out and socialize as often. The intimacy they once shared felt increasingly absent. Over time, the lack of excitement and the monotony of daily life became a silent wedge between them. Retirement is often a catalyst for change. When one or both partners retire, the entire rhythm of the household changes. Suddenly, both people are at home, spending a lot more time together than they did when they had busy careers. While this might seem like an opportunity for deeper connection, it can actually lead to emotional distance. Without the structure and purpose that work once provided, partners may struggle to find new ways to connect. Retirement can also bring to the surface issues that were previously ignored. For example, the loss of a career can cause feelings of inadequacy, frustration, or depression, which can translate into withdrawal from the relationship. This emotional retreat doesn't always happen intentionally, but it can push partners further apart if not addressed. Physical health issues can also create a wall between partners. Aging often brings physical challenges, whether it's chronic illness, mobility issues, or the simple effects of aging bodies. These changes can affect how partners relate to one another. If one partner becomes ill or less physically active, it can feel as though the balance in the relationship is disrupted. The once active lifestyle that may have bonded you may no longer be feasible, and this can lead to frustration, guilt, or emotional detachment. But emotional distance also stems from something deeper, the emotional withdrawal that often accompanies grief or fear. As we age, we become more aware of life's inevitable changes, and the thought of losing a loved one or facing one's own mortality can cause some to emotionally retreat. For many, fear of loss can manifest as emotional distance, where one partner becomes hesitant to show affection or vulnerability because they fear being hurt. The absence of shared activities or common interests can be another major factor. Over the years, couples may find that they've drifted apart in terms of hobbies, interests, and even goals. If you don't have anything to enjoy together, it can be easy to stop communicating, stop sharing experiences, and ultimately, stop connecting. What once felt like a solid foundation may feel like shifting sand if you're no longer united by activities or passions. It's clear that emotional distance doesn't happen overnight. It builds over time, often due to a combination of factors. But here's the good news. Recognizing these causes early on is half the battle. Once you understand why emotional distance occurs, you can take the necessary steps to close the gap and rebuild the connection that may have faded. But how do you start overcoming these challenges? How can you prevent emotional distance from becoming a permanent part of your relationship? The answer isn't as complicated as it may seem, and it's coming up next. Let's explore the strategies that can help you reconnect with your partner and rebuild the emotional intimacy that's so essential for a long-lasting relationship. Communication is often referred to as the lifeblood of any relationship. But what happens when that communication starts to fade, or worse, becomes completely ineffective? As couples age, communication often undergoes subtle but significant changes. What was once an open, constant exchange of thoughts and feelings can easily slip into surface-level conversations, or worse, silence. This shift is one of the primary contributors to emotional distance in senior relationships. Let's look at the story of Paul and Helen. They had been together for 38 years. Over the decades, they shared everything: laughs, struggles, dreams, and disappointments. But over time, Paul and Helen noticed that they weren't talking as much anymore. Conversations, once filled with depth, were now brief exchanges about daily routines. Helen found herself longing for the heartfelt discussions they used to have, while Paul, noticing the emotional distance between them, felt frustrated but unsure how to bridge the gap. They still loved each other, but the connection had begun to fray. So what causes communication to break down as we age? One factor is the inevitable change in life rhythms. Early in a relationship, there is often a sense of novelty and discovery. Conversations are exciting, filled with new ideas and shared experiences. But as time passes, daily life becomes more routine. When everything starts to feel predictable, there's less to talk about. This doesn't mean that there's no love left. It simply means the natural excitement that once fueled conversations has faded. Another issue is that older adults may become more comfortable with silence, assuming that, after years of being together, words are no longer necessary. They believe that simply being together in silence is enough. However, emotional intimacy thrives on more than just shared proximity. It thrives on mutual understanding, empathy, and genuine connection. Over time, the lack of meaningful communication can lead to feelings of isolation, even when partners are physically together. Even more subtle than the absence of words is the way we communicate. Nonverbal communication, body language, gestures, tone, becomes even more critical as we age. A raised eyebrow, a sigh, or averted eyes can carry powerful messages, but these cues can also lead to misinterpretation if not properly addressed. If one partner withdraws emotionally and begins to communicate less openly, the other may begin to feel neglected or ignored. Misunderstandings arise, and without open dialogue to clarify these feelings, emotional distance grows. In addition, as we age, we may become less patient with our partners, especially if we've been together for a long time. Frustrations can build up over unresolved issues, and instead of talking things out, couples often start bottling up their emotions. When one partner feels unheard or misunderstood, they may withdraw further, creating a cycle of communication breakdowns. But there's good news. Communication breakdowns don't have to be permanent. It's never too late to revive communication and strengthen emotional intimacy. In the next part, we'll explore actionable strategies for reestablishing meaningful communication in your relationship. Whether it's through simple, intentional conversations or creating space for emotional vulnerability, these tools will help you rebuild the emotional connection that may have been lost. So stay tuned, because the next steps are the key to getting back to a place of deep understanding and closeness. Intimacy in relationships isn't just about physical closeness, it's about connecting on a deeper emotional level. While physical affection is important, emotional intimacy is the true foundation that keeps relationships strong as we age. But the challenge many senior couples face is that as time passes, both emotional and physical intimacy can wane if not actively nurtured. Consider the story of Edward and Linda. Edward and Linda had been married for over 50 years. In the earlier days of their marriage, intimacy came easily. Their connection was full of passion, playful banter, and spontaneous affection. But as they aged, the physical side of their relationship slowed down. Linda, who had been dealing with health problems, found it harder to be physically affectionate, and Edward, not knowing how to navigate these changes, began pulling away emotionally. They were still living together, but the connection that once held them close seemed to be slipping away. It's easy to think that intimacy is solely physical, especially when we hear about the importance of sex in relationships. But in reality, emotional intimacy often matters more. It's the quiet moments of understanding, the ability to communicate openly without fear of judgment, and the vulnerability that makes a partner feel truly seen. As we age, physical changes, such as health issues, may impact our ability to engage in physical intimacy the way we once did. But emotional intimacy can be deepened even without physical touch. To reignite intimacy, couples need to reconnect on an emotional level first. This means opening up about how you're feeling, sharing your fears, your joys, your worries, and your dreams. It's about reminding each other that you're still partners in every sense of a word, no matter how your bodies may change. Small gestures go a long way in rebuilding emotional intimacy. For Edward and Linda, the first step was simply talking more. They began sharing their thoughts at the end of each day, even if it was just a few minutes of conversation. Edward would tell Linda about his day, and Linda would share how she felt, not just physically, but emotionally. The more they talked, the more connected they felt. Physical closeness doesn't have to be just about sexual intimacy. Holding hands, sitting close together, or cuddling can reignite that sense of connection. For many couples, these small moments of affection are the key to bridging the emotional gap. They allow you to communicate love and care without words, which is often just as powerful, if not more so. Another way to rekindle intimacy is to revisit shared memories and experiences. Take time to look through old photos, reminisce about trips you've taken together, or relive fun moments from your past. This can help reignite the bond that may have weakened over the years. Shared nostalgia can be a powerful tool to bring back feelings of connection and warmth. But there's something even more profound that can help rejuvenate intimacy: vulnerability. As we age, it's easy to fall into a pattern of assuming that we know everything about each other, but the truth is, emotional vulnerability can deepen your connection in ways that nothing else can. Allowing yourself to be open about your fears, hopes, and regrets helps your partner see you in a new light, and it invites them to do the same. The journey to rekindling intimacy isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. In the next part, we'll take a deeper look at practical strategies to prevent emotional distance and maintain the bond you've worked so hard to build over the years. You'll learn the small actions you can take every day to strengthen your connection and ensure that emotional intimacy remains a cornerstone of your relationship. Emotional distance in relationships doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible to reverse the effects and restore closeness with small, consistent efforts. Strengthening the emotional bond between you and your partner requires proactive steps that foster trust, empathy, and connection. Here are a few practical tips you can start using today to bridge the emotional gap. 1. Prioritize quality time together. As life gets busier and time passes, it's easy for couples to drift into routine and take each other for granted. Make time for each other on a regular basis, whether it's a weekly date night, a short walk, or simply sitting down for a conversation without distractions. Quality time helps maintain emotional intimacy. 2. Communicate openly and honestly. Open communication is the key to understanding each other's needs and feelings. Start talking about things that really matter: your dreams, fears, and personal struggles. Avoiding difficult conversations can lead to resentment, so make an effort to address issues as they arise. 3. Show appreciation daily. Never underestimate the power of showing appreciation. A simple compliment, a word of gratitude, or expressing how much you value your partner can go a long way. Regularly acknowledging what your partner does and who they are reinforces their sense of worth and keeps emotional closeness alive. 4. Be present in the moment. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get distracted. Make an effort to be present when you're with your partner, whether it's putting down your phone during dinner or actively listening during conversations. Showing that you value your partner's time and attention strengthens your bond. 5. Embrace change together. As you age, you and your partner will experience new life stages and challenges. Embrace these changes as opportunities to grow together. Try new activities, revisit old hobbies, and find new ways to connect. Adaptation is essential in maintaining a strong emotional connection through the years. These small yet powerful practices can dramatically improve your emotional connection. But it doesn't end there. Maintaining intimacy is a continuous journey, not a destination. In the final part of this video, we'll take a look at how to solidify these efforts into a lasting emotional bond, ensuring that your relationship remains strong and fulfilling for the years ahead. Don't miss the final step that will empower you to build a relationship that can weather any challenge life throws your way. As we've explored, emotional distance in senior relationships is a common issue, but it's not a permanent one. With a little effort, awareness, and intentionality, couples can rebuild emotional intimacy, deepen their connection, and continue to thrive together. It's never too late to strengthen your bond, no matter how much time has passed. The key takeaway here is that emotional intimacy requires constant nurturing. It's not something you can set aside and expect to stay strong on its own. Whether it's through improving communication, embracing vulnerability, or creating new shared experiences, maintaining a deep emotional connection demands your attention and commitment. But the rewards are worth every effort. Strong emotional bonds are the foundation of a fulfilling and enduring relationship, particularly as you navigate the complexities that come with aging. Remember that small, consistent actions make all the difference. By prioritizing your partner, staying present in your conversations, and continuously showing appreciation for each other, you're laying the groundwork for a stronger connection that can last a lifetime. These practices don't just fill the gaps left by emotional distance, they create a richer, more meaningful relationship, one where both partners feel seen, valued, and loved. It's important to acknowledge that emotional intimacy is a lifelong process. As your relationship matures, the ways you connect may change, but the principles remain the same. Keep learning, keep adapting, and keep nurturing that emotional closeness. Your relationship can continue to grow and evolve in beautiful ways if you're willing to put in the effort. So, take a moment to reflect on your own relationship. Are there areas where emotional distance has crept in? Are there ways you can reconnect and strengthen your bond? The choice is in your hands, and the opportunity is right here, right now. If this video resonated with you, I encourage you to take the first step today. Start small. Perhaps it's a conversation you've been avoiding or a gesture of appreciation you've been meaning to express. Your relationship deserves to feel vibrant, full of love, and connected. Take action now and make a commitment to continue building the relationship you've always dreamed of. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on maintaining strong, healthy relationships. Remember, you deserve a relationship that makes you feel seen, valued, and loved, no matter your age.